Hey, welcome back. In this video, we will discuss about encapsulation in Python object-oriented programming. Okay, so when we are defining our class in Python, sometimes what we do not want that any other user can access some sort of an attribute of that class or a method of that class outside of the class. And we don't want that any other person can modify the attribute or the method from outside of the class. Okay, in that case we use encapsulation in Python. Okay, so encapsulation is about protecting data inside a class. Okay, it means keeping data, that is properties and methods, together in a class while controlling how the data can be accessed from outside the class. Okay, so this prevents accidental changes to your data and hides the internal details of how your class works. Okay, and I will get back to this comment later, why we want to use encapsulation. Okay, so let's see the encapsulation in action. Okay, all right. Now let's define a class person. Okay, and here we will have the constructor. All right, it will take the self and then it will take the name and then age. Okay, and here what we can do something like this: self dot name equals to name, self dot age equals to age. All right, and here what we can do something like this. So now what we can do, we can instantiate the object person1 equals to person, name can be John, and then age can be 24. Okay, simple enough. Now what we can do something like print person1 dot name, and then we can do person1 dot age. All right, makes sense, right? Now if I run the program, we are getting John and 24, which is expected. Now for example, we want to make the age private. So how we can do that in Python? We can do that by using a special syntax while basically instantiating this attribute here. So we have to add double underscore here. Okay, now if I want something like this, double underscore age here, now if I run the program, we are getting an error. Okay, the person object has no attribute called double underscore age. Okay, so in that way we can make an attribute private inside of a class by using double underscores. All right, so this is the private property. Okay, so private properties cannot be accessed directly from outside the class. Now the question is how we can access the age value from this person class. Okay, so it is quite simple. We have to create a function which is a getter function. So while using the encapsulation, we will see the terms getter and setter quite a lot. So here we have to add a getter method inside of the person class so that we can get the age of the person. All right, so now let's define get age. It will take the self and simply it will return self dot double underscore age. Simple enough. So now if we want to get the age, what we have to do? We have to do something like this: get age. Okay, we have to call it. This is a method. All right, so now we are getting 24. Okay, so as you can see, quite simple, right? So we are just defining a getter method here, basically a getter function to get the age. Okay, now how we can modify the age? Okay, how we can set the age basically. So to set the age, we can add a setter function or a setter method here. Okay, quite simple. So here what we'll do, I can do something like this. Def set underscore age self. Okay, and here it should get the age, right? The new age. Okay, here we can do something like if we can add a check. New age is greater than 0. Okay, then self dot double underscore age equals to new age. Okay, else we can raise a value error. Okay, and do something like age cannot be less than 0. Okay, all right. So we are having this particular check here before setting our age. Okay, and this is a setter function. All right, so now what we can do something like this, print, or let's do something like this. Before the get age, what we can do something like this. So person1 dot set age, and here we can pass our new age, can be 30. All right, now if I call this function here, so as you can see here, we are defining the set age function, which is a setter function, and here we are setting our new age inside of our person class. Okay, all right, now run the program. We are getting 30. Now John is 30 years old. Okay, simple enough. So in that way, we can use the getter and the setter functions to get the private properties and to set or update the private properties. Okay, awesome. So now why we want to use the encapsulation? Okay, so let's find out. So why to use encapsulation? Encapsulation provides several benefits. Okay, something like data protection, prevents accidental modification of the data. Okay, then the validation, you can validate data before setting it, which we did, right? We are validating here the data. Okay, all right. Then flexibility, internal implementation can change without affecting the external code. And then control, you have full control over how data is accessed and modified. Okay, so this is basically the encapsulation in action. So now let's see what exactly is the protected properties. So we have discussed about the private properties, something like this. Now we have the protected properties as well. Okay, and this is basically a convention. So Python also has a convention for protected properties using a single underscore. So what exactly do I mean? So the person can have a salary. Okay, and here we can do something like self dot underscore, only one underscore here, salary equals to salary. Okay, quite simple. And now while making this one, so what I can do something like this. So 50,000. Okay, so this is our protected property. Now the thing is, the protected properties can be accessed by outside code as well. So what exactly do I mean? I can do something like print and do person1 dot underscore salary. Okay, this is totally fine. Run the program, we are getting 50,000 here. So as you can see, we are not getting an error, just like the private properties, right? While we cannot access the double underscore age here, we are getting an error. But here for the protected properties, which starts with only a single underscore, do not give an error. Okay, so what exactly does that mean? So the single underscore is just a convention. It tells other programmers that property is intended to be internal use. Okay, so this is basically to say to other programmers like, hey, you can access that and you can update the property. That is totally fine, but please do not do that. Okay, so in Python does not enforce any sort of restrictions while using the protected properties. Okay, so I will add a comment here, private property, and this will be protected property. All right, I hope that makes sense. Also, just like the private properties, we can have private methods as well. Okay, so let's see that in action. Okay, so here what we can do, we are having this one, right? So here we can add a simple validation here. So def, let's do double underscore validate age. Okay, it will take the self and it will take the age here. All right, and here what we can do something like this. So if I just do copy this one here, okay, all right, we have to do something like this, age, and that has to be age as well. So as you can see, this is our private method. Okay, so now what I'll do something like this. If this is the case, return true, and if that is not the case, return false. Okay, all right, simple enough. Now what we can do something like this, or we can add the validation error as well. Okay, so Control C, let's do something like this. Okay, let's raise the validation error. All right, now what we can do something like this. So get rid of this one, get rid of this one here. So we are having the age equals to new age basically. So here what we can do, we can check if. Okay, so we can do something like self dot double underscore validate age. Okay, and we have to pass the new age. If that is true, then only do this one. Okay, otherwise don't do anything. So as you can see, this is how we can abstract many parts of the code which should not be accessible outside of the code, right? So now if I run the program, this is good. Now if I do something like this, so if I do something like -2, okay, run the program, we are getting an error, right? Age cannot be less than 0. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So in that way, we can create our private methods inside of the class as well. Okay, I will just go ahead and do 30. All right, so this is the private methods. And now as you can see how our code is getting shaped, it is getting shaped quite well, right? We can abstract out many of the parts of the code from the end user, so they are not worried about the implementation. Okay, all right. So here, one last thing which I want to point out in this video is name mangling. So if I just do something like this, so if I will just do something like this, okay, so here if I print the person 1, okay, so what we are expecting, we will get an object. Simple enough. Now we have the special property which is the double underscore dict double underscore. If I do that, as you can see, if I just run the program, we are getting name John, and here surprisingly we are getting age, which is basically modified to this one. So the class name and then double underscore age, which is 24. Okay, and then the salary, which is this one. So this is called name mangling. Okay, so name mangling is how Python implements private properties and methods. Okay, so when you use the double underscores, Python automatically renames it internally by adding the class name, like the underscore class name in front of it. Okay, so here theoretically or practically here, if I just do something like print person1 dot underscore person double underscore age, if I do that, run the program, we are getting 24. Okay, so in that way we can access the private properties as well. But do I recommend it? Absolutely not. You should not be doing anything like this. Okay, while you can access private properties by using the mangled name, it is not recommended. Okay, it defeats the purpose of encapsulation altogether. Okay, you should not be doing something like this. All right, so in this video we have learned like most of the things about the encapsulation here. Okay, so all right, in this video we have learned about encapsulation in Python.